Near, rip a hole in the sun. Welcome to Cum Paude. Why would you cum soft when you can cum louder? Yeah.
Welcome to Cum Laude, Cum Paude. Joined here by the Fermalicious Dame Jitty Dench. Fermi, what's going on?
Howdy.
We're here at approximately 8:08 Eastern Time on the 29th of November. Really coming to close here on this year, and man, I am excited to talk to you about this, but also a little footy action today. I assume you watched the game. Obviously, who cares about the other ones? So let's just go singular. You got a little chance to check out the game today?
Yeah, I got a chance to see the game and watch the hometown boys make it to the knockout round. Pretty exciting. Old Pulisic was puking his guts out after having his nuts rammed in by the goalie, but you got to lay it all on the line to get the win.
Any man who's willing to rupture a testicle for this country is okay by me. So, here's
to that.
Puka lick stick. So, dude, let's jump right into it. You feel like you're ready for the fastest 7 minutes? A quick recap of NFL Week 12. I do believe the fastest 7 minutes occurred in little over 9 minutes last week. And that was mostly because I decided to jump in and comment a few times. The fastest 7 minutes, though, I think are all yours and ready to go. Let's start it off.
Put it up on the screen.
Yes, sir.
Johnny, let's do it. Let's start with Dame Judi Dench versus Stage 5 Klingon. Whenever it gets there, this game started out with a line of Judy being favored by 13. Nick Stradamus taking the favorite, as it did with every team, and that was a loss. Stage 5 Klingon comes out with a win, 12-point margin. The magic number, as we've always said, was 100. He got up to 102. That did it. Got a big contribution of his flex player with Isaiah McKenzie putting up 19. Dame Judi Dench loses his third straight, and possibly Aaron Rodgers. We'll see how that goes. Left the third quarter. Could have been the difference in this game. I'm going to say, yeah, it was. Definitely would have had another touchdown in there that got stolen by Love, but didn't happen. Didn't happen this week. So Dames drops another. Stage 5 moves up. Stage 5 is in fourth place. Dames drops down to 7.
You can't love what you don't like, I think is the real problem here.
Moving right along, Beth's Healthy Twins and the ABCDEers. Favorites were ABCDEs by 3 points, and Nick Stradamus takes the favorite, gets the win, 17 points. ABCDE covers, solid play out of the main 5, bringing in a huge 120-point week. You're probably going to win with that. A.J. Dillon on the bench, but looked like a wrecking ball in the game this week, just bowling over people. Big play out of Kyler Murray, finally, almost 30 points. Nick Folk trying real hard to keep the team in the matchup here, just wasn't enough out of the running backs this week. We've got ABCD's Nuts in 10th place, only one game back of playoff berth, and the Twins are up to 6th place just by a total points tiebreak. There's a 3-way tie there for 6 through 8. Next one, we got the old St. Brown and Cumsale. St. Brown was favored by 15. The Cumsale takes the favorites, and they cover by 0.3 points. It's amazing. Another win for Nick Stradamus. St. Brown covers in this low-scoring affair. Garrett Wilson did all the work. Loving life with Mike White there in New York. The Cumsale trend of having negative points from a player in your starting lineup continues. This is 3 weeks in a row with Will Lutz putting up -1. Pacheco looking solid. I like that moving forward. He's a rookie. He's getting plenty of time in Kansas City. Just setting up nicely for Cumsale next year. This loss for Cumsale does not officially give him the first overall pick in 2023, but the 13th place team would have to sit every single player in their lineup for a points scored tiebreaker for that not to happen. St. Brown is in 11th. Again, one game back of playoff berth with points tiebreakers. Cumsale is in last.
Gotta love that classic Andy Dalton v. Kyle Allen matchup. Really a couple of heavy contenders going here.
That's right. Moving on, Alvin Kamara was a stink, and now he stinks again. We thought he was kind of okay, but big scoring game from Kamara Stinks. Not from Kamara, only putting up 4, but Kamara Stinks was favored by 13. Nickstradamus takes the favorite, gets another win, covers that. Rest of the team comes up big, puts up lots of points. He chose to swap in Christian Watson before the late night game. Maybe a little hazing about Paris Campbell in the text thread convinced him to do that. Got a solid outing of 19 from Christian Watson. Kamara Stinks is getting hot. Keep your eyes on Kamara Stinks. Solely in 5th place now. Bunchen had to decided to start Tom Brady again. Derek Carr outpaced Tom Brady again. We'll see what happens next week or this upcoming week if Carr is going to get in there, the starting lineup. Bunchen player, he's in 8th, last team in currently. Points 4 puts him in that 8th spot for seeding, and needs some help at tight end. Pretty bad.
Absolutely. Certainly does, and I just think he loves Tom Brady too much to get off that train.
We will see. Next one up, Slavs Madovs gets the overall points leader of the week. Big outing there from the Slavs. Excellent play for Trevor Lawrence, Rashad White, Dolphins D, and Justin Tucker. Of course, you're going to get a performance out of Justin Jefferson, so just points all across the board. This line was Ham Nation favoring by 10 going into this. Nickstradamus taking the favorites, did not cover on this one with the script getting flipped. Looking at these lineups, there could be some action for trades coming at the trade deadline. Looks like Slavs needs some potential help at the flex if he's really making a push here. Ham Nation is scoring points this year, but is last team out currently, sitting in 9th place, but has the 3rd points 4 overall. So if he can string together some wins, he's going to move up in that playoff ranking. Slavs currently 12th place, but again, 1 game back of being in playoff contention. So making a hard push here at the end of the season.
It's staying tight.
That's right. The Be More Ravenous Baddies against the DC Foreskins. So the Baddies surprisingly had, they were favored by 5.5 going into this. Nick's Drums taking the favorites did get another loss here. So the weekly runner-up by only 3 points for the Foreskins, led heavily by Josh Jacobs with that crazy overtime scamper. Still huge game, even without that, 45 points. The Sun God putting up some really solid points as well. Needs some help at tight end. Dallas Goedert went down. He's putting out Evan Ingram, so there might be some trade action there if Foreskin really wants to bolster the team going into the playoffs. The Baddies, Herbert, T. Higgins, Ramondre, fine. Everybody else, whoa, that's tough. Really tough when you're getting 3 or less from almost everybody else on your team. A lot of injuries. There are 7 players with an IR designation on the Be More Baddies team, so really feeling for that. Just not a fun year for the Baddies. They are currently in 13th. 2 games back, 2 games left. So you're saying there's a chance. Foreskins is happily in 3rd place now. Just been climbing away. Slow start to the season, but just been putting up points, knocking people out.
Yeah, solid squad and looks primed for the playoffs. And of course, I'm talking about the DC and Redskins in that comment.
All right, the Pubic Medusas and Rivers Me Timbers. What does Rivers Me Timbers do? They win fantasy football games. It's amazing. So Medusas was favored by 9 in this one. Favorite taken by Nickstradamus. Another loss, unfortunately. So Nickstradamus 3-4 this week against the spread. Fade the firm 4-3. Nickstradamus is now 7-7, breaking even in our last 2 weeks of playing against the point spread. But back to the game notes. Rivers keeps winning. Sanders, big day. Godwin has another big game. It's looking like Rivers is just heavily reliant on huge unexpected outings from their players. People just far exceeding their projections and carrying the team. Last week, Joe Burrow put up a 35 spot, was the top 3 quarterback there. Miles Sanders exceeded by 17 points. Godwin exceeded by 12. So I think he's truly, I know we keep saying it, he's in first on his own with a 9-3 record, and we said it every week. He's even said haters gonna hate. They hate us because they ain't us. But when you get into playoff season, I think you need all of your players to be firing. I don't think you can keep getting on by these outstanding play from some of these players. Just jumping over the projections. Medusa's, oh man, what happened? Medusa's is hot and cold right now. A huge week last week, comes back with Jalen Hurts doing it, but huge names not putting out the huge numbers. Zay Jones, if he had put Zay Jones in the flex, he would have won by 0.5 in this matchup instead of Donovan Peoples-Jones. But who's going to put in Zay Jones? I don't know. That's just what the stat people are handing to me here in the booth. So Medusa's in second place by points total. Rivers is first overall.
Love this. Love it. Fast 7 minutes, bringing it to a close. Nice job for Malicious, and what another great week it was. What do you say we take a quick look ahead to our week 13 and what is, I believe, the final effective bye week of the year. No buys last week, which makes some of these kind of strange roster constructions and low point totals a little bit weird, given the fact that pretty much everybody had access to their full roster, but it was a short week for a lot of teams because of Thanksgiving, etc. Let's do a quick look ahead to week 13, and we are going to go ahead and start right off the bat with my game, because that's the way I like to roll. Right now, not rostering a defense, but the waivers haven't run yet. Let's see where that bid is coming in from the Cum Sale.
We're putting you at 30.5. We're going to say if you got the defense in there, going to average you around 5. So we got AJ given 30.5.
I think that probably sounds fair. And given the fact that I've rostered and started the Cardinals for the large part of the last few weeks, that leaves us with a 30-point spread. Kyle Allen is playing actually fairly well. And the problem here is going to be who is this combination of wide receivers for the Cum Sale to be able to stay close. The ABCDers have a great team and are making a very, very serious playoff push. They deserve this 30-point spread, and we're at 30.5. The underdog is taking this one, however. In fact, would probably buy that number down to 26 if I were a betting man, which I am. But I'll take Cum Sale and the 30.5 points moving forward with this one. Let's run it forward to my co-host here, Dame Judi Dench at 6-6 in 7th place with a must-win situation against a team who I believe at least at one point in this league's history was named the all-injured reserve team. And quite honestly, if we're looking here, actually probably deserves it this year with a massive display of IR eligible players. Lots of red down the side, which is not quite the case as much for the Dame Juters. The Aaron Rodgers situation is something to be monitored, but if you have to start Aaron Jones or Daniel Jones, with his rushing upside, that shouldn't be problematic. We're sitting with a spread right now of -5, and that is in favor of Dame Judi Dench with a little bit of flex play issues here, but I think he's going to overcome that. I imagine him winning by a double-digit margin. We're going to go ahead and take the favorites in this one. Moving ahead to the Bunchen player against my favorite team name of the year, Beth's Healthy Twins. We are in a Derek Carr versus Tom Brady quarterback. No, we've got a solution of big change. I believe the pressure has finally mounted to the point where Derek Carr is in. He's clearly throwing to the best receiver in football again this year. And is he going Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott? Are we going Jerry's world here at running back? Yes, we are. Still puts them in a pretty tight matchup against the Miami Dolphins. And I think that's pretty much how stuff goes. We've got a quadruple running back, I believe, from the Dolphins for Beth's Healthy Twins. both these teams are in massive playoff contention, so we've got a 4.5-point spread. The ESPN projections here seem to favor bunch and player, but I love a bounce back game for Kirk Cousins against the Jets, and a big outing for Miami against the Niners, who are probably due for a little bit of regression on that defense. With all of that being said, the bunch and player actually wins this one. We're going with the favorite and taking bunch and giving 4.5. Moving ahead quickly to St. Brown and Hutch versus the Hamsters. Baby Ham Nation, let's ride. 5 and 7 in 9th place, but really chomping hard at that total points. They can put up points in bunches, not points in bunchen, as we would like to see. Right now, sitting at a spread on ESPN of 21.2, but we've got a defense that needs to be put in here, so we're going to move that down to 15. Really just some kind of dart throws on the board for St. Brown and Hutch, and honestly, I'll put Cordero Patterson in this category too, but Marlon Mack, come on, I imagine that'll probably be a swap out as we get closer to game day. Josh Palmer's having a great year. Really excited about him and his talent, but at some point that's probably going to break when Mike Williams comes back, and I don't think we're necessarily going to expect the Garrett Wilson Mike White connection to be as good as it has been. Another starting day out of Samaje Perine would mean probably a cruise to victory for the Ham Nation, even without that in the lineup. I still like the Hamsters just rolling hard with the Josh Allen, Steph Diggs connection, and I do believe that they do not cover. It's a closer game than we think it is, and I'm going to go actually with the underdog here, St. Brown and Hutch.
I'm getting something in from Vegas, actually. It's looking like St. Brown, if they were to start Jamar Chase, who's projected to come back, Joe Mixon, who should get the start, and Justin Fields instead of Andy Dalton, we actually get a flip of this with St. Brown and Hutch being favored by 15 points. So lineups need to be set here. How does that change your perspective here, Nick Stradamus? If St. Brown actually sets their lineup.
Yeah, and that's honestly probably a misreading of the roster on my part to assume that this is the roster that such a experienced manager would be rolling with if we have health from Jamar Chase and Joe Mixon, though the touchdown potential for both of those players is limited one by the other, certainly. But Justin Fields returning to the lineup. We go with a 15-point line in favor of St. Brown and Hutch. I believe that's what we're setting the new line at, if that is the lineup that they're going with. I am no longer taking St. Brown and Hutch to cover a 15-point spread. I will take the Ham Nation getting the 15 generous points there, and I appreciate the attention drawn to the bench and the lineup that still needs to be set in this matter. Let's move quickly ahead to DC Insurrectionist and Kamara stinks again. Which is just a beautiful sequel. I don't know if you've seen, very rare that the sequel outplays the original, but I think we're in that vein at this point. We do have the DC Insurrectionists favored by 2.5 points. What we're talking about, a classic NFL line here. We're just dealing with a field goal. I mean, that's all it is. So, I mean, that's maybe what we should look at. Are we at Ryan Suckup or Young Wei Koo? I'm not really sure what it's going to be as it relates to the kickers, but I like this Alvin Kamara stinks team. I assume he's going to find a way to bench Kamara, but looking down his lineup, how do you do it? Gus Edwards? Maybe, right? Is Gus Edwards the solution? He throws Gus Edwards in there. That gives him a boost. It's not a great matchup for Kamara, though the Buccaneers aren't what they used to be in terms of run defense. Just the Saints fucking suck. So let's go ahead and say that the DC Insurrectionists 8-4, and I think one of the best teams in the league, goes ahead and covers this by a field goal. We're going with the favorites. Moving to the leader, Rivers Mid Timbers versus the league manager Slobs Madabs. 1.5 point favorite, buddy. We're winning by a safety here. Winning by a safety. Let's check the defenses. We've got the Dolphins against the Colts. One excellent defense. I think the Colts are fantastic this year. Their fantasy production has not been that great, but not a team that you would necessarily like to play defensively. Versus the Fens that just seem to keep the ball on offense long enough to keep their defense off the field, and definitely have some turnover potential from that secondary. Do like the core players from Slobs My Dobbs from the LM. It seems like Rashad White has really taken over that role, though. By the same token, it seems like Chris Godwin is turning into the real alpha in Tampa Bay that seems to still want to throw the ball 75% of the time. The Latavius Murray Denver situation is something that if they continue to hand the ball off, because obviously Russ can't do anything, there may be some more points here to go around. I hesitate to bet in what is pretty much a pick'em game against the team that does nothing but win, and so therefore I am gonna go against the first place team. This is the week that they go down. We're taking Slobs My Dobbs, getting the 1.5, and to round out the final game of the week between the second place team and the fourth place team, both 8-4. We've got a massive 24-point line in favor of Pubic Medusas. We fell into that trap last week. We did. And the Medusas seemed to be struggling a little bit, but that was also just some kind of strange matchups for his players. Clearly the best running back room in the league. I can't imagine not wanting Jalen Hurts as your quarterback. And Amari Cooper, Mike Evans, always touchdown potential. And certainly Amari Cooper is going to get added volume, you would hope, from Deshaun Watson's return this week if Pubic Medusas is able to figure out this flex spot. And I don't know what you do. DPJ is a decent player, and again, that kind of correlates with the Deshaun Watson narrative. But if he were to go with, as we found last week, a Zay Jones type, or even an Alec Pierce, or quite frankly, with what seems to be the development of Kenny Pickett, Deontay Johnson in that flex role, they look even more solid here. David Montgomery, of course, is getting all of the carries, but beyond that, you're kind of in some touchdown upside potential here for Stage 5. Klingen, depending on some early December weather forecasts and some of these road games, I'm not necessarily as hopeful that this team will come out on top. And so I'm going to go ahead and take the Pubic Medusas laying 24 points at home. We're going with the favorites here. Fermi, you want to run us down the league standings?
Yeah, let's hit it. So we got 2 regular season games left. We've got 4 teams of clinched playoff berth, with Rivers Me Timbers leading the charge at 9-3. 3 teams stacked at 8-4, separated by points 4. Then we've got Alvin Kamara stinks again, sitting there all on his lonesome at 7-5. Still hasn't locked at 94% chance, so we're saying Alvin Kamara's probably punching that ticket. But then if you look at the next 3 players, Beth's Healthy Twins, Dame Judy Dench punching player, sitting at 6-6, right at 500. None of them are guaranteed because you've got 4 teams lurking at 5-7. Only 1 game back with 2 games remaining. Ham Nation stands probably the best chance, in my opinion, even though their playoff percentage is lower than somebody like CD's Nuts. But Ham Nation is the 3rd most points for. So when you're looking at a points for tiebreaker for playoff seeding or even getting into playoffs, I do like Ham Nation sitting there. 4 teams, 5 teams. It's really going to be a battle these last 2 weeks. Be more ravenous baddies, not out of it yet. 3% chance they could get in. They could. They just got to win out and get some luck going up and above. Dame Judy's trajectory right now is to lose the last 5 of the season and just fall out of contention. So it's going to be exciting. 2 games to go. Looking at points for. Score your points now if you want to guarantee you a spot in the playoffs.
I love this matchup here between what is Record-wise, the 9th place and 5th place team, but a very close matchup here for teams that are a little bit on the bubble. So these points are going to add up and really matter moving forward. In terms of teams on a heater, we've got the DC Insurrectionists winning 5, also 4 straight wins for the league manager, and teams going in the opposite direction, but on quite the impressive streaks themselves. K-Dog's team, the Doge, losing 4 straight and not to be outdone. The Cum Sale with a whopping 876 total points scored this year, trailing the field by almost 300 points, losing 5 in a row, and 0-6 at home, which has not been great for the faithful here at Cum Sale United. We've got some trade deadline information that the league needs to know about before we bring this to a close. What do you got on those details on the calendar watch?
That's right. Any of you looking to stock up your team for that playoff push, thinking you might be one piece short of the championship run, Wednesday, December 14th at 11:59 p.m., which is the Wednesday prior to Week 15 starting, which is the first week of the playoffs. 2 weeks out from now is going to be that trade deadline. So start talking, everybody. Get things going. Have those conversations. If you think you're not going to make it, maybe it's time to say sayonara to one of those veterans you've been holding on to, get some draft picks and some youth on your team.
I will personally attest to the fact that the trade hot stove is starting to get heated up. Received 2 separate text messages today for some people who I believe maybe are feeling some FOMO, some fear of missing out on the draft. And well, if you're afraid of missing out on the draft, there's one place you can shop. There's certainly some picks to be had. Any parting thoughts?
Just go out and get it. Set your lineups. Feel confident about it. Everybody's got a chance except for one team.
Gotta love that. That's what we want. You want to talk about parity? That's what we want. Say goodnight, Firm.
Good night, Firm.
Thank you for listening to the official podcast of the Public Honors College Fantasy Football League. Cum quickly, cum often, and cum loud.